What's good, YouTube? Today we're going to be looking at some more Pokemon Go battles. Once again in the Great League Remix Cup. It is the final day of the Remix Cup. I'm going to be showcasing an Emolga team because Emolga absolutely core broke the meta. Poliwrath, Gligar, Mantine, all those really strong Pokemon that I kind of showed off in my first video. And yeah, so let's just hop right into the battles. Okay. Fish Emon. Yeah, so we're pairing it with a Dunsparce and a Poliwrath. We're staying in against this Quagsire. This is a pretty neutral matchup. Um, I'd say the Quagsire has a little bit of an edge. They're resisting the Thunder Shock and Discharge, and they have the super effective Stone Edge. So I switch out, I catch onto the Dunsparce. Fortunately, it was a Stone Edge. They're staying in, which is fine. Maybe they're weak to Dunsparce in the back, I'm not sure. But I'm okay with letting Dunsparce go. It's here to kind of just soak up damage. The reason I paired Emolga with Dunsparce and Poliwrath, it's weak to two things, Ice and Rock. Poliwrath resists both. It can hit Ice super effectively as long as it's not Frostlass or Ninetales. And even Ninetales, that's a pretty neutral matchup unless they're running Charm. Yeah, so anyways, they finally eventually switch out of the Quagsire matchup. They come in with Shadow Gligar. I debuff with the Icy Wind, and then I go for the Acrobatics when I come in with the Emolga. All of their moves are resisted here. They're also debuffed, so I'm not worried about a single move. I'm just going to farm up, get off this discharge, take them out. And they let it go. Are they going to come back in with that Quagsire, or are they going to show us that third Pokemon? They come back in with the Quagsire, so 3 more Thunder Shocks to the discharge before they get to their Aqua Tail. They let it go again, and it's superior in the back. So I go for an Aerial Ace catch here. Ultimately, I didn't really need that. Like I got 2 shields. Like there's no point. But I get off the Ice Wind, and I believe that was a CMP tie on their second Aerial Ace, which is perfect. I can get this final shield and then just let this go. They could have survived it. I am a non-shadow Poliwrath. If they let that go, this would be a lot harder position. I probably would still win, but get off that Acrobatics, takes out the Superior from 3/4 of his health. Acrobatics is a hard-hitting move. Baiting with Discharge is often hard, but it is a strong move. Once again, Core broke this team. They are leading with Pelipper. They come in with Gligar. I'm staying in. I got an energy lead. So I'm going straight for the Acrobatics. They let it go. As soon as they let that Acrobatics go, that means I can take this matchup, even if they hit me with a Dig. So they go for the Dig. I think I go for the Discharge on their next Dig. And they shield. So I'm fine with matching shields here because I'm going to come out with energy either way. This time I'm only going to fire 5 more Thunder Shocks, expecting them to go for the Aerial Ace this time, and that's exactly what they do. So I believe they let this go. Yep. They come back in with Pelipper, which means they are triple weak to the Emolga, most likely. They shield. I know I can get to another one. So I'm going to shield this. I want to see what that third Pokemon is. It's the Poliwrath. I save the Discharge, come in with my own Poliwrath. While this matchup plays out, I'll talk a little bit about why. So, first of all, these matchups are actually at a lower elo. I think I started at like 2200. I got back up to like 2400. The reason I was so low is I tanked trying to get my XL Swadloon to work in this meta, and it's just unfortunately was not working with all the like Corebreaks and Gligars and Mantines, and even Poliwrath's not a great matchup because the bug bites resisted. It's just, yeah, wasn't great in this meta. Dunsparce surprisingly worked well. It can hit the rock types that Emolga is weak to with Drill Run, and it can hit um, the ice types it's weak to with Rock Slide. So I thought made it really great safe swap. It also usually can bait out the fighter. Um, once again, good lead. Tapu Fini. They come in with Obstagoon. I wait the 5. I know they're not throwing a cross chop here. It's just gonna be a Night Slash, so I catch that. Go for the double super effective counters. This could be a Poliwrath bait out, and because then they're gonna just punish with the Tapu Fini. But Tapu Fini is gonna have trouble farming down here. It's on Water Gun. I'm a non-shadow Poliwrath. So let's see where they come. Yep, they come back in with Tapu Fini. I'm gonna get off that Scald. Just go for a little bit more damage first, and then see where we're at. We get the debuff too, which is great. This time I build up to the Scald and then bait with the Icy Wind. It's not that I think they're gonna shield this, but I do think if they don't throw a move, I'm going to make it to another Icy Wind, and that's exactly what's going to happen. They have to throw a move, and they actually go for the Nature's Madness because they're worried Surf might not KO. Third Pokemon's a Registeel, Battle of the Safe Swaps. Here we go. So it was a bait out. They were trying to bait out the fighter, which they did, but fortunately my team is built better than that. I'm no shielding this first one. Focus Blast can't KO from this range. They correctly go for the Zap Cannon because they're fishing for that debuff, which they get, and they shielded the first one, so they're playing this right so far. But I still have 2 shields, right? So I'm shielding up what could be either a Zap Cannon or a Focus Blast. He's just going Focus Blast now, getting off this Drill Run, and I believe I should be able to make it to another Drill Run before they even take me out. Yep. And at this point, after this Drill Run, they're in discharge range, and I have a discharge. So I switch, go for the discharge. Even if I switched and caught there, I'm winning CMP, and yep, they know it's over. There's nothing their Tapu Fini can do. Shield down against an electric type. Okay, Drifloon, another good lead. Yeah, like I said, Emolga picked up a bunch of good leads. This one I play a little bit differently. I don't farm up. I go right for the discharge on CMP because I expect them to go for Icy Wind. I don't think they're gonna farm up for the Shadow Ball. It's exactly what happens. So I can actually get the shield right away. I'm gonna mount shields. Don't get me wrong. An Icy Wind will still hurt. Emolga is glassy. They go for the catch attempt, I think, on Ferrothorn, which is not great. And then I get off the acrobatics here, and then I think I'm gonna come Poliwrath. Yeah. They're at double power up, so I'm gonna let the first one go. I can survive 1, barely, but I'm not gonna be able to survive 2, and I want to keep switch here. Not that I really need it though, right? Like I could have let that go. Dunsparce would have done just fine if they brought it in something else. But yeah, see, Dunsparce and Emolga good against both of their back Pokemon, so I didn't really need switch here. But I got off the Scald. I actually think Dunsparce is a better matchup against Drifblim, so I'm going to come Emolga here. They come back in with the Drifblim and get off the discharge. And then I'm going to switch into the Dunsparce. So they can only go for Icy Wind here. Or Mistral Fire if they're running it, but hopefully they're not running both because that'd be weird. Yep, they just go for the Icy Wind. Getting off the Rock Slide. No fast move timing here. Or both 3-turn moves. They get off another Icy Wind. That's fine. I think that just gives me more energy on the way out. Yep, so I actually end up coming out with a move. I'm trying to farm up here, hoping that maybe my switch timer would be up and I didn't have to throw 2 times debuffed moved, but it's whatever. It's still not up, so I'm going to throw another one. And then I think I'm going to come Emolga to force them to throw that Sludge Wave. That's exactly what they did. They don't even farm up enough. If they had farmed up enough, that could have been a dangerous situation there, but they don't. Get off that Drill Run before they even make it to a Brine. Not even sure a Brine would take out from this range. Probably would. I'm in the red. Yeah. but we get that win. Overall, went like extremely positive with this team. It was a very, very strong team. Next lead, Ninetales. This is a neutral lead. It's actually Kanto Ninetales, I believe. So pure fire. I go over the CMP tie again. Risky because I could let an entire fire spin through. And it's actually funny because the shiny makes it look like the Alolan Ninetales. But yep, so they just go for the Weather Ball. I'm matching shields. We actually simultaneously switch Umbreon and Dunsparce, which is unfortunate because we would like the Poliwrath aligned against their Umbreon, but oh well. This is a pretty neutral matchup. Umbreon is going to win it because it just outbulks Dunsparce, even though Dunsparce has a better damage per energy move in Drill Run. But this is a long, slow matchup here. Get off the foul play. Looks like it's only going to take one more foul play to take out, but I think I CMP'd there, so at least they're not going to come out with energy loaded, which is nice. Yep. Perfect. So I'll just take this loss. I'll probably actually come in with Poliwrath because we know energy is good on the front. Yep. And what do they come back in with? Is it that third? No, they come back in with Ninetales. So they're weak to this in the back. So I'm just going straight Scald. They can hit me for anything except for Scorching Sands, and they actually let that go. In comes Ferrothorn. So they're thinking one shield Ferrothorn is the answer. I catch a Power Whip onto my Emolga. It's resisted. This point, I can come. I throw on very poor timing there. I think it was something threw me off there with the size of the bubble and the timing, but they actually let that go because they know there's no win con at that point. So fast movement timing not that important. Next match, Jellicent, another good lead. But I think that's 5 good leads in a row. So they come in with Ninetales. This is tricky for this team, especially on the lead. I'm just going to farm up to double Rock Slides. If they double shield and take switch, it is what it is. But these rollouts are actually chipping, and I get back-to-back Rock Slides loaded. They let it go because they know that. So they weren't looking to double shield. They grabbed their shield. They're happy with that. They come in with Poliwrath. I'm unfortunately not going to get to 2 moves. And I actually just have to come in Poliwrath down energy and down shields because Poliwrath has no play against that Jellicent, unfortunately. And they are farming up with the Jellicent, going for that discharge. My only win con at this point is calling a bait. If they Shadow Ball, I lose. But fortunately for me, they surf, and they can't hex down from that range before I get off 2 discharges. So a big mistake by my opponent there. I'm farming up. I can shield this. I know they can't outpace me to the next move. Switch timer is almost up, so I got to be careful about that. But just not up yet. I get off the discharge. They're at 1 HP. They switch in the Poliwrath. They do outpace if they're running Dynamic Punch. I lose. They're on Scald, especially because of the Shadow. Shadow that takes out from that range. Not debuffed yet. I go for the Icy Wind to get it off. I actually live on 1 HP. I counter down the Poliwrath. Counter down the Jellicent. Poliwrath is a Jellicent counter confirmed. And come in with that next move. All right, another Jellicent lead. Hopefully, I didn't just do the wrong team. I mean, wrong. Oh, yeah, because they didn't switch out immediately. The same game is what I was trying to say. They shielded discharge. They are farming up a lot. So I'm just going to go for another discharge here. And then I think I'm going to try and soak up this energy on the Dunsparce. And if I did that correctly, this should be a Shadow Ball. Yeah. So that is a double resisted Shadow Ball on my Dunsparce. It's a lot of energy wasted. Now comes the Surf. They're staying in this matchup. I go for the Drill Run. They make it to their next Surf. That's fine. I can let this go. I've still got 2 shields. They are about equal health with my Dunsparce. And I'm going to outpace their next surf. I actually overfarmed by 1 rollout there. Go for the drill run, take them out. What is so weak to Dunsparce in the back? It's a Carbank. Carbank is actually tough, just because it's got that fairy type coverage. So I'm going to immediately switch into the Poliwrath here, and not let them get to that Moonblast and farm down my Dunsparce, because I'm thinking that Jellicent was their Poliwrath counter, and that they were probably trying to bait something out with something else, but they actually come in Carbank, and it's actually a double fairy backline, both of them running their anti-flyer fast attacks, get off that Scald. They know they're not making 2 moves before I can counter them down, so they just resign the match. Next up is Poliwrath, another good lead. They come in with Goodra, so I'm actually going to come in with Poliwrath here. I'm going to shield up the first, because this could be a Thunder Punch. I was a little slow on the switch, yep, and it is. So you can get off that Icy Wind right away, debuff those Dragon Breaths and those Thunder Punches. And I think I actually just double shield and commit to the farm down. Yep. I'm keeping switch. Poliwrath energy is always good, especially with the ability to debuff. Yep. So now I'm at back-to-back Icy Winds. So I'm going to go for the double debuff over the Scald here. Get that off. Let's see what they do when I come back in with Emolga. Right after I wait out the switch timer. Come in with Emolga. It's Registeel. I bank a discharge in case I need to come in and CMP later, because Emolga does win CMP against a lot of things in this meta. This Reggie actually goes for the Focus Blast. This is the wrong play here, just because you can see they're not going to be able to lock on farm me down before I get to the 2 or 3 moves that I need. And at this point, they're in Thundershock range, right? So they're not farming me down before I can farm them down. And I actually stopped tapping there because I didn't want to take them out and give them extra farm. They got off that Focus Blast. They come in with the Poliwrath. Get off that Discharge. They shield. And I get off the Discharge on CMP, which is massive. Take out the Poliwrath, and they got that 1 HP Registeel in the back. And that is game. Next up, Mandibuzz, another good lead. That Quagsire was like the only bad-ish lead. They come in with Galvantula. We've got a great answer in Dunsparce. We can let any one move go through here. Probably going to be the lunge, and that's exactly what it is. I'm going to go for the Rock Slide. Throwing on good timing, 3 versus 4. They shield. So now I'm going to match shields, because I don't want to just give up switch like that. And Poliwrath and Emolga don't have great matchups against Galvantula. So going for that Rock Slide again. Throwing on good timing. They let this one go, not willing to go down, 2 shields, and they come in with a tough Pokemon in Toxicroak. So I'm actually going to come in with a Emolga here, and then I believe I go for the Discharge on CMP with the Shadow Ball. I actually didn't know that Toxicroak won CMP over Emolga, but so I shield that, I go for the Discharge, because this could be an Acrobatics. I believe I farmed up to it, but they actually let it go. Huge kahunas on the opponent. They come in with Mandibuzz. I'm going to go for the Discharge, and I believe I go for a catch onto the Poliwrath, trying to get to the Dark Pulse catch, but they hold their energy, unfortunately. So they're going to go for an Aerial Ace. It takes 3 Aerial Aces to take me out, and they can't Snarl farm me down. So I'm actually in a really good position here. I go for another Aerial Ace. They're 3 off, so I farm up as much as I can, get off that Icy Wind. I'm as low as I could let myself go, so if they let it go, and they actually overfarm just a little bit too much. They can only overfarm by 1 there, and then that was just going to let me get a discharge farm now. So there's no really winning that for the opponent. Not sure why they shielded that. And at this point, I'm just going to outpace, and I get off the discharge before they get to that Shadow Ball. Okay, next match. Yep. Who we got in the lead? Another good lead. Fence Deoxys. This is actually kind of a neutral lead because they could be running Rock Slide. But Acrobatics, such a hard-hitting move. I'm going to let the first one go because they farmed up 8, which could be the Thunderbolt, and I'm feeling ballsy, and it is. That's actually just neutral. Electric resist electric, so that's nice. And it's super effective on the flying, so. Get off the Acrobatics, miss a few bubbles there. And then I go for the discharge on, I think, Psycho Boost CMP. And they shield, so I'm willing to match shields here because they are not counter farming me down from this range before I get to another discharge. And they actually get out into Ninetales. We've seen this before. We will get out into our Dunsparce. It's non-shadow, so I'm going to let the Weather Ball through. That's nothing to Dunsparce. Dunsparce, pretty tanky in the Great League. I'm looking forward to when they release Dundun, or whatever it is, Dunsparce, or I don't know. This one shields the first. I get off a second. Let's see if they let this one go. They do. Not enough to take out, actually, and they charm farm it down. So they flip switch, which is fine. I'm going to come in with the Poliwrath. This is just a Weather Ball, I think, so I'll let this go. Yep. And counter farm them down, which is great. And they come in with Umbreon. They probably do have Psychic, is my guess. So I'm Icy Winding, and I am shielding up the first in case it is. They're not going to go for a bait here, regardless. And they're actually just running Last Resort, so that's fine. I'm throwing another Icy Wind. And now I'm thinking they're going to reset on the Deoxys, right? That's exactly what they do. So they farm up. I wait 5, go for the Psycho Boost catch on the Emolga. I get it, which is massive because now their counters are doing significantly less damage. I farm up 4 and then go for the Ice Wind. I believe Poliwrath wins CMP, so I could have gone 5, but you would never know with 1 turn switch lag, so I played it safe, went for the 4. And they actually do get to a move here, so maybe 5 might have been the play. It is a last resort, but I actually survive on 1 HP, so I can just counter them down and win that game. Next match, we've got Mantine, another good lead. This is what I'm saying. Emolga on the lead is great if you have things that can cover it in the back. They come up with Lanoon. Lanoon against Poliwrath actually isn't the greatest matchup for Poliwrath just because they have access to Grass Knot and Thunder. But they're not going to get 2 moves if I chip with Discharge. So I chip with Discharge, and then I come in Poliwrath. I get that 1 shield, and then I counter farm them down. They're going to come immediately back in with that Mantine. So I'm just going to debuff them. And then we're just going to go for the counters. They get off that Aerial Ace. I'm shielding nothing here. I have a great answer in Emolga. Get off another Icy Wind. They're obviously just going to let this go. So then their Mantine is already in the yellow. I hot switch into Dunsparce then, expecting them to come in with because they're double debuffed. And Dunsparce has a fine matchup against both of these back Pokemon, and I was kind of reading this team with the Gligar in the back. I was also kind of reading that maybe there was something else weak to Poliwrath in the back, which was like kind of an okay read because obviously Icy Winds do hurt Gligar a lot, especially Shadow Gligar. But Emolga just sweeps this team. Like there's nothing they can do. So they will take out my Dunsparce, but I've got the 1 HP Poliwrath in the back for a catch if I need it. And then I have the Emolga, which can just soak up pretty much anything here. I might shield this, to be honest. No, I let it go. It is the dig. That's the hardest, probably the hardest hitting move, and maybe besides an Ice Beam that the Mantine might have. And they do have the Water Pulse loaded, so I need to keep that in mind in the back of my head. And I think that they're going to go for a combo play here. So I shield this up, and I'm anticipating they're going to go for the Water Pulse. So you can see me switching Poliwrath. They come in with the Mantine. Is it the Water Pulse catch? It is. And with that, I just farm up 5 to the Aerialist, go for the discharge on the CMP, and the game is over. There's no winning. They can't outpace my Emolga. And I think I go Acrobatics just to be safe, even though it's the Shadow. I'm honestly not sure if Discharge would have taken out from that range. Emolga does have a pretty high attack stat, but you never know. Acrobatics to be safe. That is a hard hitting move. Into the next match, we have Jellicent. Another great lead. They switch into double. This player, I mean, they're obviously playing it correctly. They're going to get to the back-to-back wild charges, which is why they're farming up so much. But they shield the Icy Wind. Maybe they were worried they wouldn't get the 2 wild charges here. But now I know I can survive a non-stab wild charge because I get off that Icy Wind before they throw their energy. I will shield this, try and keep switch. I think I can counter down before they make another move. It is just a body slam, so they're just 2 away, and I actually get that counter down. Keep switch. Shields are still even. They come back in with the Jellicent. I'm going to go for the harder hitting Scald here. And I believe because I get that attack drop, I get to the Icy Wind, which is nice. And I'm predicting a blind Shadow Ball. So I come in with Dunsparce. I should get that rollout through. I should not get 1 turn switch there, but I do. So I actually don't get any energy, which means they will outpace me to the next move and CMP, which is annoying, but whatever. Game not working as it's supposed to, nothing new. Get off that drill run on CMP. Not enough to take out either way, so it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to go for the rollout farm down here. All they can do is debuffed Surf. I think they're double debuffed. I'm not sure why they're staying in this matchup unless they're super weak to Dunsparce in the back, which I imagine they are. Just another Surf, but now I've got loads of energy on my Dunsparce. So what is it? It's actually just a Gligar. So we'll just get off the double Rock Slide here with the Dunsparce. And then we'll just come in and we'll go to completely wall their energy. And there's nothing they can do here. And I actually shield up a potential dig. Yeah, that's just salt in the wound for my opponent there. And so I go for Acrobatics on their next dig, CMP. They correctly shield that up, but at this point, there's nothing they can do. It's a non-shadow Gligar. They would need, looks like 2 more digs plus an aerial ace or a dig plus 2 aerial aces. So they're not getting there before I get to another Acrobatics. And they resign the match. Getting towards the end of the video now. Another fantastic lead running Emolga into Poliwrath. This one's staying in, so they're core broken obviously in the back. I go for the discharge. Could be an Acrobatics on the CMP tie with the Icy Wind. And they shield, so I'm just going to match shields. We've seen this before. We know Emolga is important in the back because they're not getting out of a very negative matchup. This time I'm going to go for Acrobatics on CMP with the Icy Wind, because after an Icy Wind debuff, I don't think Discharge would take out. And they let it go. So we take the ones. I'm in the yellow. They come in with Gudra. I safe swap into my weaker answer here in Dunsparce. But they actually can't hit me super effectively, so I'm just going to chip with my Dunsparce. They're farming up a lot of energy here. Maybe they're not familiar with Dunsparce counts. It is kind of a fossil in the open Great League. But now they're throwing off their energy. I can survive any one move here unless it's like a nuke move. And it's not. It's just the Aqua Tail. And if they don't throw, I'm going to make it to another drill run. And this will threaten to KO. And it doesn't. It leaves them on 1 HP. They snipe with the Empoleon, but I've just got them hard countered. And that was the Emolga core break there. And that is the full video. Yeah, so overall great team. Emolga was really impressive. If you manage your energy properly and you use shields wisely on Emolga, and you keep switch when you need it and don't when you don't need to. Especially in this meta, Dunsparce and Emolga can hit almost everything. Like there's almost nothing that they can't hit. And Poliwrath is just really strong overall. It's just bad against the Flyers. You've got two answers to Flyers on this team. So yeah, very strong team overall. Definitely take a look at Emolga if you haven't. I highly recommend. Mine is not even that highly ranked. It's not the best Emolga, but it still works and gets the job done. But yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I'll be back with some Open Great League next week and maybe some Open Ultra League as well, because I've got a cool Corebreaker for the Ultra League there as well. So thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.